The digital alert flashed on my phone screen at exactly 5:37 in the morning while the world outside was still completely dark. It was a cold notification from my financial institution stating that my entire life savings had been frozen due to unauthorized alterations on the account. I stared at the flashing crimson text until the cold reality finally penetrated my exhausted mind. My breath caught in my throat as I realized someone had just locked me out of my own future. That inheritance amounted to $520,000, which had been secured for me over a decade ago. My beloved grandfather established the fund when I was 19 because he witnessed how my parents constantly drained my personal earnings. He deliberately bypassed his own daughter to ensure I would have a genuine safety net for my life. Now at 36 years of age, I had only utilized those funds twice for major milestones. In my initial panic, I made the massive mistake of dialing my mother instead of contacting the security department at the bank. I desperately needed to hear a comforting voice tell me that everything would be resolved safely. When she answered immediately on the second ring, a heavy knot formed in my chest because she never wakes up that early. Her tone was completely devoid of maternal warmth when she spoke my name. She calmly explained that she and my father had conducted a lengthy consultation with a professional wealth advisor regarding my situation. She claimed they were deeply concerned about my employment pressure at the local medical center and my recent relationship separation. Therefore, they decided it was time to intervene directly to protect my financial stability. Hearing those calculated words made me realize my family viewed me merely as an asset to control. My father quickly joined the conversation on the speakerphone using the exact tone he perfected during his career as an insurance claims adjuster. He stated that they had secured a legal power of attorney accompanied by an official medical assessment letter. He insisted this drastic action was entirely within their rights as my next of kin to shield me from poor choices. His cold clinical voice made my entire body tremble with rage. My mother asserted that I was far too emotional to comprehend the details and should simply allow them to manage everything. They had not checked on my well-being in 8 months, yet they claimed to know my psychological state. I silently disconnected the line without uttering another syllable and sat frozen on my mattress as a terrifying wave of clarity washed over me. I needed to reach the local branch immediately. I contacted the branch director and demanded an urgent meeting while explicitly using words like criminal fraud and identity theft. I dressed in my most professional corporate attire to project absolute authority before driving toward the business district. As I navigated the morning traffic, I began connecting the timeline of events and realized how long they must have planned this. My thoughts immediately turned to my older sister Vivian and her struggling household. Vivian lived in an expensive residence financed by our parents, and her spouse had been unemployed for several consecutive years. She recently requested that I co-sign a substantial loan for her family, which I firmly declined via a text message. I suddenly understood that my refusal had triggered this desperate plot to seize the inheritance. By the time I arrived at the parking lot, I resolved to remain perfectly calm and focused. The branch manager, Mr. Vance, escorted me into his private glass office and rotated his computer screen to show me the documents. There was a freshly executed power of attorney bearing a signature that closely mimicked my own handwriting. However, the first letter lacked the distinctive looping flourish that I always utilize when signing my name. I looked directly at him and stated that the document was an absolute forgery. Mr. Vance then revealed the attached medical assessment from a psychiatrist named Dr. Silas Thorne, who practiced 2 hours away. The statement asserted that I was enduring severe psychological distress and could not manage my own financial affairs. I had never visited that municipality or spoken to any medical professional by that name. The manager explained that the document had been sent from a public shipping store in that distant town. The most damning evidence appeared when the manager examined the digital metadata embedded within the electronic file. The scanner used to create the document was registered under the legal name of Bradley, who was the husband of Vivian. A profound silence filled the room as the final pieces of the betrayal fell into place. The constant critical noise of my family dissolved, leaving me with absolute clarity about what to do. Mr. Vance asked if I wanted to initiate a formal criminal complaint since forging federal banking instruments constituted a serious felony. He reminded me that prosecuting would mean exposing my closest relatives to law enforcement and potential imprisonment. I remembered the protective warning my grandfather gave me decades ago and told the manager to contact the police. I was completely certain that I would not allow them to destroy me. An investigator named Officer Davis arrived and meticulously documented the entire situation while reviewing the digital evidence. While we filled out the paperwork, my mobile phone vibrated repeatedly with frantic messages from Beatrice and Vivian. I turned the device downward on the mahogany desk and informed the officer that my parents would likely arrive at the building very soon to stage a dramatic performance. I knew their behavior patterns perfectly. At precisely 10:40 in the morning, Beatrice and Arthur marched into the lobby looking like deeply concerned parents. My mother approached the teller desk using her most sorrowful voice to explain that her daughter was experiencing a severe mental breakdown. She claimed she possessed the necessary legal documentation to manage the situation safely. The bank teller quietly signaled Officer Davis, who emerged calmly from the rear office to intervene. My mother immediately attempted to project an image of maternal distress, but the investigator requested their official identification documents. Officer Davis escorted them into a separate room for intensive questioning regarding the origins of the medical letter. They provided conflicting dates and scrambled to explain who originally drafted the paperwork. Within 40 minutes, the authorities placed both of my parents under arrest for their fraudulent actions. While I completed the secure paperwork to transfer my funds into new accounts, I heard the metallic click of restraints. By that afternoon, the police also apprehended Vivian and Bradley at their residence on multiple conspiracy charges. The investigation uncovered that Bradley had utilized his home equipment to forge multiple documents for other schemes. The deceptive reality they built had completely crumbled under the weight of their greed. The legal proceedings lasted 11 months, and the magistrate delivered incredibly severe sentences to every single participant. My brother-in-law received 7 years, while my mother, father, and sister all received substantial prison terms. I attended the final sentencing hearing wearing a formal dress and refused to look away when Beatrice glanced back at me. They were forced to face the true consequences of their predatory behavior. The inheritance remains entirely secure within a separate financial institution that requires strict multi-factor authentication for any access. I designated my dearest companion from my medical training as the sole emergency contact on the account. The parents of Bradley now care for the children, and they sent a gentle message expressing their deep sorrow. Their kindness proved that genuine support does not depend on shared genetics. This agonizing experience taught me that when individuals use a gentle tone to justify terrible actions, they reveal their true nature. The phrase regarding family loyalty is frequently weaponized by manipulative people who require your absolute silence while they exploit you. Genuine love never demands that you sacrifice your personal safety or tolerate deception. I finally found my peace by walking away from the toxic bonds of my past.